I cannot figure out where that other music's coming from. I hear something. I cannot figure out where that other music's coming from. All right, so clearly I'm broadcasting something. I hear something. There's some sort of loop somewhere that's making me nuts. I cannot figure out any of it. All right, so clearly I'm broadcasting something. I hear something. I just gotta. There's some sort of loop somewhere that's making me nuts. I cannot figure out any of it. All right, so clearly I'm broadcasting something. I hear something. I just gotta. There's some sort of loop somewhere that's making me nuts. I cannot figure out any of it. All right, so clearly I'm broadcasting something. I hear something. There's some sort of loop somewhere that's making me nuts. I cannot figure out any of it. All right, so clearly I'm broadcasting something. I hear something. There's some sort of loop somewhere that's making me nuts. I cannot figure out any of it. All right, so clearly I'm broadcasting something. I hear something. So I think I got it. That was just, yeah, sorry for the delay, but I don't know where the hell that was coming from or what was doing it. I'm just killing stuff that. So I think I got it. Because nothing. Hey, stop it. So try to go back on the air with the radio side. Just, yeah, sorry. I don't know what the hell that was, but I don't know where the hell that was coming from or what was doing it. Shady knocked it off. Killing stuff. Now I got a dog barking at my feet because that's what I need. So I think I got it. Because nothing. Hey, stop it. We are. So try to go back on the air with the radio side. Just, yeah, sorry. I don't know what the hell that was, but I don't know what the hell that was doing. Shady knocked it off. Killing stuff. Now I got a dog barking at my feet because that's what I need. So I think I got it. Pulsing, hey, stop it. On one of the on the soundboard, and I don't know why it's doing that. You're not just killing stuff. Now I got a dog barking at my feet because that's what I need. So I think I got it. Pulsing, hey, stop it. On one of the on the soundboard, and I don't know why. I'm trying to find. There shouldn't be anything going on. Get rid of that. Sorry for the delay again, everybody, but I got to find this. I can't just not. Okay, so we're back on radio. If you're now just getting picked back up on radio, there was clearly a loop going on, and I had no idea what was doing it. I think it's gone now. I'm hoping. I'm going to minimize a bunch of other stuff that's expanded so that I know that there's nothing operating underneath anything. But I want to get going here because we got a lot to talk about. Jane will be with us in the second hour. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's everything. There's that. That's just that. I killed the phone system because I knew that was where it was coming from, that web browser. But I mean, that shouldn't have been. Anyway, let's get going here. All right. I don't know what that was all about, but that was interesting. So between what's going on today, we're going to hear from the new Prime Minister of Canada, and already, he's defending Canada with the use of a hockey analogy and the gloves dropping. Let's see if the chat, if Superfan Ken's with us today. Ken, how do we sound? Is there a loop or any audio issue? There was when we first came on. I think I cleared it, but let me know if it's still there. Mark Carney, new Canadian Prime Minister. He's going to be addressing some of the trade stuff right away. He's now the head of the Liberal Party in Canada, but is not the actual Prime Minister yet. There's going to be a transition period between him and Justin Trudeau, who has stepped down a while ago. And now the election's been had, and Ken says, sounds good so far, no loop, awesome. The election's been had, and there'll be a transition period from when Trudeau officially steps down and Carney steps in. Trump's tariffs. This guy's an idiot. Trump says that these tariffs are going to make our country rich again. And we're going to have so much money, we're not going to know where to spend it. Well, you keep canceling all kinds of stuff, Donald. We don't have any place to spend it. Chinese foreign minister has stepped up and is also bitching out Trump, and they're not delaying any tariffs. Yet more stupidity from this administration with the removal of the words transgender and queer from the LGBTQ acronym on all government websites, and also facilities. The Stonewall Inn in New York City, where the LGBTQ movement began, no longer has T or Q on the National Park Service signs at the location. So, I mean, the ignorance and stupidity is just mind-boggling. I think I found some of the actual results or the actual footage from the supposed clash between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and, I don't know what his real title is, Elon Musk. There's like an entire 12-hour. I doubt that this is the actual entire meeting, that it was actually 12 hours. But Times of India has an 11-hour, 54-minute, and 56-second video on YouTube detailing this blow up. And Trump downplayed it, but when you go from Musk being the one that's cutting everything to all of a sudden now the secretaries are doing it, something had to have happened. I mean, it's not that hard. I'm trying to also find a shorter video that gives a little bit more info on it. And finally, speaking of removing things, I got to type this one because I got to search it again. The name. I mean, this is a war hero for us. This is the stupidity behind a guy that bought his degrees, that bought his way out of military service, that pretty much bought anything he has thanks to daddy. I mean, he didn't even earn the money. The name Enola Gay. Does it sound familiar? History people. Boomers. You should probably know that name. Why? It's from your generation. You were a kid, to be fair, if you were even born. But it is from your generation. That is the name of an airplane. It is the name of the airplane that dropped the atomic bombs on Japan. Where did that name come from? It is the name of the pilot's wife. Gay is a woman's name. Enola Gay is the woman that was married to the pilot who flew that plane over Japan. A straight heterosexual couple who happens to have the word gay in the woman's name. And the name has been removed from all references in the entire Department of Defense and National Park Service. Because apparently there's no gays in this country. Didn't I tell you this would happen? Didn't I say he would not stop at brown people? Didn't I say that when he said he was for gay marriage, that he was lying to you? And maybe some of you are glad for that because you're Trumpsters, you're bigots, you're ignorant. You have the reading level of a 7th grader or lower. Or you're just an ass. We're trying to make it welcoming for you to realize that being on his side is not a good place to be. But when certain people continue to support this, and we'll talk about one particularly in the next hour with Jane. But when certain people continue to support this, you make it tough. And I got a pension. I'm actually saving money. I got my insurance settlement over the weekend. I'm going to be doing something with this house that's going to seal a positive future, whether it's knock it over and rebuild from brand new, which will be even better than what I have now, a house that I love, in an area of the country that I love. And yeah, I'm gay, but I'm also single. So who am I going to marry? And seriously, you think he's going to stop me? Seriously, you believe that? Okay. Go ahead, believe that. It's not, I can't help you're stupid. and a sheep and ignorant. But yeah, the name Enola Gay, one of the most important airplanes in our nation's independence from tyranny, has been removed from history by a tyrant. Remember, long live the Republic, not the king. That ass can't die fast enough. From natural causes, of course. And of course, I also don't wish anyone dead. I just refer to his presidency. When in 2 years, hopefully, the Democrats will have pulled their heads out of their asses and found a good, solid nationwide base of people to run and not only get a majority in Congress, but the supermajority, 2/3 needed to overrule any veto that this asshat does. Yeah. I mean, remember when he said tariffs are his favorite word and that we're going to love them too? Now we got, I didn't get that clip. Oh, damn it. My mom and dad were watching one of the news programs. I don't know. It says something over the weekend. And the president of the United Auto Workers Union, who could not speak badly enough a mere 7 months ago in August at the DNC, now all of a sudden, his office is working with Trump's office. He admitted that he has not spoken with Trump, but his people is working with Trump's people. And now all of a sudden these tariffs are great because they're going to bring jobs back. Well, another Kool-Aid drinking idiot. The jobs that are being paid too much. I mean, I'm all for fair wages. I'm all for unions protecting workers. But when those unions get greedy, that's when they need to be stomped out. And when they protect workers who should be terminated because of poor behavior, poor performance, or whatever, that's when they need to be stomped out. I'm trying to find out something for morning motivation today, too. That might be a good one. Boom. Yeah, Gary V to the rescue. In fact, let's do that now, because then I'm going to forget if I don't. You guys know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, an entrepreneur that I've had a lot of admiration for, very successful in what he does. Started out at 12 or 13, something like that, at a shopping mall kiosk, selling I think it was baseball cards. Are you ready for this? As a 10 or 12-year-old, making $10,000 a month as a 10 or 12-year-old, a six-figure teenager. And when he became old enough to work in his dad's liquor store somewhere in suburban New Jersey, he had to retire from the sports card trading business and work for $6 or $7 an hour. Because that's what you did in the Vaynerchuk family. Well, he still learned a lot. Still learned what he learned working for himself and parlayed that into a media company now run by Gary and his brother, Vaynerchuk Media. But because of his successes, he basically is like a real influencer. Like an influencer you would actually want to follow because, I don't know, maybe he knows what he's doing. And his comment for today: if people spent as much time working on their craft, Donald, as they did convincing people where they are, quote unquote, going, they'd be much further along. I don't talk a lot about what Mastiff Media is doing because I'm sitting here doing it. I'm not up at 7:30 in the morning anymore, at least not right now. That'll come back. But what I am doing is still up late. Mom and Dad have been visiting, as I've told you, and they've been grilling me to, I got to get back in on one of the other formats here. They've been grilling me to get out, not be here so much at home. I'm in this chair till oftentimes 1:30 in the morning because I'm working on the craft. And now what's happening? We're on in 3 continents. We've helped the station Radio X in Australia. I just learned this weekend. You ready for this? Radio X listenership in Australia. And we're on there overnight because we're live there right now. Shout out to everybody that's listening. 25% of you are new to Radio X, at least at this time of day. For radio, from a radio show starting at a new station, that is unheard of. So maybe because I haven't been engaging in social media, saying what we're doing, stay tuned, big things coming, all the things that the hype for the hype that Steve Jobs was actually good at, that all these other so-called influencers and what is the one hold on, let me, media, public figures, all these public figures on Facebook. That's what they are. That's their job. They're a public figure. Okay. And do you get recognized in your local grocery store? Do you get fan mail and hate mail? When you get that, then you're a public figure. So stop telling me you're a public figure and start doing what's going to make you a public figure. That's why we did a 25% jump in Australia. That's why we're still trying to convince our London station to carry us more than 1 day a week live. They've already got a packed schedule, and we're not overnight in London. We're in the PM drive, which is a hot time slot to be on. That's when everybody's coming home from work. So just that we're starting people's weekends on Friday is awesome. But we'd like to help out a little bit more, especially with, I saw that fellow independent content creator, David Pakman, was threatened with a $150,000 fine because of telling the truth. Now, tell me how this is a free country when our poor excuse for a president is kissing up to actual dictators and is admiring other dictators like Kim Jong-un and G from China, who, by the way, have been proven, it's been proven that they're laughing at this guy. So if people spend as much time working on their craft as they did trying to convince people of where they are going, they'd be much further along. Yeah, thanks, Gary. We'll definitely push that message for you because a lot of people need to hear it. It's, let me get rid of that so we can. It is 2:28 in Sydney and Melbourne, 11:28 p.m. Actually, yeah, we hit the, we have daylight savings now here in the States. So we got a slightly different time in Australia and the UK and Berlin. That's going to change apparently soon because your times are going to change like next week, I think. But right now, 2:28 a.m. Tuesday in Sydney and Melbourne, 11:28 p.m. still Monday night in Perth, Australia, 16:28 Berlin, Germany on Monday, 3:28 p.m. London, 11:28 here in the East Coast, 8:28 out there on the left coast. You're listening to Up the Middle. We're watching it on the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back right after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. Rumble. We're fair and balanced. We're not only on YouTube and Facebook and those platforms that used to be a little progressive. We're also on the conservative side. Go to rumble.com/Yergz Media. And I think that's the link. I don't have my affiliate list up today. But go to rumble.com/Yergz Media. I know there's a link there on our page. Remember, Yergz Media is what we were before Mastiff Media, and it's not possible to change that on Rumble. So we are, wherever possible, we are trying to be welcoming to the MAGA right and the Maddow left, Rachel Maddow, because that's an extreme too, and I'm not for that either. She's a little out there to the left, and we got to bring everybody together. That's what our goal here is at Mastiff Media and Up the Middle. And actually, that wasn't the only. We had some growth at WZQR in Pineland as well. Bill Bro, the general manager there, messaged me over the weekend and gave me some stats. I don't have them in front of me. They're big. They're big channel. They've got 7 channels through a provider that we used to have called Live 365. And I don't know what they've done since, but we dropped them because being a talk station, it's kind of important to be able to have people able to talk. And their login didn't allow me to give any sort of login to another presenter without giving them my actual password. Now, obviously, there's a system that allows for that. So we're happy to be there on a website that gets, are you ready for this? 2 million hits a month down in rural Florida by Naples. And that is another conservative area. Well, the 2 million hits predominantly go to the Symphony channel that they have. Our channel, their talk station that we're on right now, has also apparently grown since we joined it. And not only have we joined there and Australia, but I also introduced both GMs to Glenn Sportcat Jackson, who will be following us in about an hour and a half from now with Sportcat Daily Gazette. And he's actually doing about 2 hours every day because it's helping to develop his fan base. Hopefully he's giving us a shout out. But Rumble is another place where I never thought we would grow. And we are. I'm actually not sure. I think we have a channel there too. I'm looking it up right now. Give me 1 second. It's the Yergz Media. Okay. I think there's one up the middle there too, which is the one we think we'd be on. But we're just on the general Yergz Media every day. Same time as everywhere else. And point of all that being, if you are also a content creator, go there, get your subscription, and get a discount by signing up through us. There you go. That whole long, drawn-out thing, just to tell you that. All right. Mark Carney. There's a name. I remember a Carney growing up was somebody that worked at the traveling carnival. Now they work in the Canadian government. Mark Carney is the new leader of the Canadian Liberal Party and is the incoming Prime Minister of Canada, replacing Justin Trudeau. And so he's going to be dealing with a poo-poo sandwich. And, of course, here comes a hockey reference.
We didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. The Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
Now, to Americans, I say to you, as in hockey, we will win.
Mais cette victoire.
But that victory won't be easy. We're facing the greatest crisis of our lifetimes. We have to do extraordinary things, and together. We have to build things that we've never imagined we would have to do at a pace we would have never believed possible. And above all, we must place people above money.
There you go. Yeah, I just realized I'm broadcasting today.
Turning now to Canada.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, well, we know that. So apparently we're actually on in the UK today. It's coming through. It's showing that I'm broadcasting to it. I'm going to test that because they've got us programmed to not be able to take over anything in the event that somebody like tries to pirate it or whatever. But yeah, so remember when Trump said that tariffs were his favorite word. Shouldn't be too tough to remember. He keeps saying it. Yet he's delayed the tariffs with Canada and Mexico for yet another month. Well, my question is, and nobody from the right seems to be able to help us with this. But my question is, if tariffs are so awesome, why is that not logging in? I just realized one of the other. If tariffs are so awesome, why are we not just saying, screw it, let's do this? I know one of the other broadcasters isn't. I'm multitasking, as so often I have to do. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and get this over with. If there's going to be some pain administered, if there's going to be any level of difficulty, let's just do it. But we're not. I don't know why that's not working now. One of the other broadcast applications isn't working, and it's from a company that I thought about dumping in the first place. So we might be doing it. But these tariffs are awesome. It's Donnie's favorite word. And yet, another month delay for two of our biggest trading partners. I mean, if we're trading with these people so much, and this is something that they're going to pay, because as many times as he's been told, apparently he's been told wrong information, the foreign country pays the tariffs, not the American people. So says this idiot. What are we worried about? Why are we delaying the apparent inevitable and the best thing for our country? Yeah, not letting me log in. I don't know what's going on with that. Well, maybe there's some saber rattling. Maybe there is some just basic immaturity. Yeah, it's not letting me doing pretty much anything. A company called Cirrus, the Secure Systems International, that I don't know, but not happening. Whatever. If this is so awesome, I'm just going to focus now and use what I got that's up. If this is so awesome, if this is the greatest thing that's going to happen, that's going to be for our country, do it. Grow a set, Donald. Do it. We're not. What's he about to say here in this clip? We're going to have so much money, we're not going to know where to spend it. Well, you're kind of right about that, actually. In that, well, You've cut so much, we won't have a place to spend it. Is him.
Oh, I think the tariffs are going to be the greatest thing we've ever done as a country. It's going to make our country rich again.
Are you worried about a recession? Maria Bartiromo asked you, and you kind of hesitated.
I'll tell you what, of course you hesitate. Who knows? All I know is this: we're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch
that right there.
Are you alarmed by TikTok rhetoric?
That right there, that's his tell. Whenever he changes his tone, or whenever he does that thing where he pulls back his lower lip and stretches his lower lip, that's when he's lying. And I'm a poker player. I interrogate criminals, fraudsters, terrorists, assassins, you name it, spies. I've interviewed the best of the best. Donald Trump ain't one of them.
The Chinese response to your tariffs, and are you planning to meet with Xi Jinping about trade anytime soon?
No, they took that rhetoric back, as you know. They were very tough, and I said, whoa, what's that all about? And that rhetoric was taken back.
Is there going to be a government shutdown at the end of this week?
Could happen. I mean, the Democrats want that.
Okay, so the Democrats want that. The Democrats don't have any say. And about what China took back, we're going to hear from China in a minute. So, yeah, so much for them taking that rhetoric back.
They want to destroy the country.
They want to destroy the country. Really? Have you seen the instant replay on anything you've done? You fire people, then you don't fire people. And by the way, just for those of you counting, there's been another plane crash, this time in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Because at the FAA, Donnie here hires the best and the brightest.
I can't tell you, but it could happen. It shouldn't have happened, and it probably won't. I think the CR is going to get passed. We'll see, but it could happen. Well, I don't think the tensions are high. Look, Elon's a very special person, and these cabinet people are special people. You know, these are very successful people, or they wouldn't have gotten, you know, they've attained the highest heights of government.
No. Let me help you with that, Donald. You've got one of the most important positions, actually two of the most important positions, filled by talk show hosts from Fox News. The Secretary of Defense does not have any qualifications to be the Secretary of Defense, other than he kisses your ass. And the Deputy Director of the FBI, Danny Boy Bongino, is no different. This is now the third job he's had in a row that he's not qualified for. I don't know what you're looking at when it comes to a resume, but you're not looking at a good one. And let's not get started about Sean, your transportation secretary. We didn't have any of these crashes under Pete Buttigieg or Sleepy Joe.
And I think they have a fantastic relationship to Elon. And Doge has been incredible. You know, hundreds of billions of dollars.
No, not hundreds of billions. No. That's how much has been cut, maybe. But that doesn't mean it was fraud. That doesn't mean it was waste. That doesn't mean it was redundant. It just means it was cut by a person who knows nothing about government, who is babysitting a bunch of kids. You know, when I wore a hoodie to the office, it was because I was working out and it was cold. We don't go to work in a government office in a hoodie. Maybe that's something that happens at Facebook or Twitter or any other place you put a big X on the side of a building without the city's permission. But you don't do that at a government office because of the respect for the people that you work for. And it ain't you, Elon, or Donald.
Dollars of waste and fraud and abuse has been already found.
None of that's true. None of it. Like, I want to know where the legacy press, the corporate media, isn't just standing there calling bullshit. Because it is. It's not that much. And again, just because it was cut by some guy who walks out on stage with a chainsaw, which he's probably holding it backwards. Like he's holding it, I don't know, and we'll say a right-handed position, and he's probably left-handed. I don't know. But, yeah. All right, so here's the Chinese foreign trade minister. So most of these that have ministers, the department that's the same as the State Department is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. So foreign affairs, that's the State Department. Trade, that's commerce. So for most of these countries, MOFAT is a combination of our State Department and our Commerce Department. And that's who you're going to hear from China. This is the Chinese Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade talking about his new relationship with T-Rum.
No country can fantasize about suppressing and containing China while developing good relations with China. This kind of two-faced approach is not only detrimental to the stability of bilateral relations, but also unable to build mutual trust.
Wang Yi also spoke about the geopolitical turmoil in the world. He talks about this changing and turbulent world that China is obviously very much a part of. And he criticized isolationism, obviously taking a dig at President Trump. Take a listen.
If every country emphasizes its own national priorities and believes only in strength and status, the world will regress to the law of the jungle.
And the irony, of course, in this, Errol, is that China could very well fill the vacuum that the US leaves if it continues down this path.
Interesting remarks there.
So that was from CBS This Morning. What you heard was the voice of the translator because the minister doesn't speak English. And then that was the reporter for CBS who is out of Beijing. So, yeah, he's basically saying that Trump is trying to be this diplomat while also being a bully. And she's pointing out what so many others have pointed out, and that is where all these Doge cuts are happening. Somebody's going to fill that void. And there was another one, I don't think I have it queued up for today, but there was another one about Marco Rubio essentially ordering the entire end of USAID, which was really part of a three-prong foreign affairs engagement. One would be the State Department, where Rubio is at. The other is the Defense Department. And the third is USAID, which is a lot more. There's some things I know about that I can't talk about. All I'm going to say is it's a lot more important than what it's let out to be. And this is disappointing, to say the least, especially that Marco Rubio, who knows better, would bend over for Trump in the way that he's doing. So, yeah, is what it is. One more break. When we come back, we're going to talk about whatever's going on in Boyertown and just kind of get caught up there for like the next hour or so. And if Jane has anything that she wants to talk about regarding government, we'll certainly do that as well. You're listening and watching Up the Middle on the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back right after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing.
I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym, Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training, a dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum.
So I just wanted to also check on some of the ones that we do have going right now. Yeah. All right. On KSHP, Las Vegas. We're only on there for an hour, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're coming to KSHP probably in April. Tuesdays also. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday with the eventual addition of 5 days a week. Also, Radio X, we're there all 10 hours a week, so no issue there. Well, I mean, let's find out. I got the earpiece in that I use during commercials, but I cut a bunch of affiliates that weren't holding up to their end of the bargain. The metadata says up the middle with Yergz, so. Oh, very little delay, too. Awesome. Now, here's a big one. It shows that we're still broadcasting to the UG, which isn't supposed to happen other than Friday. So let's find out. Wow. Yeah. So I got to see if they've changed that, because we're not supposed to be able to broadcast to the UG in the UK when it's not Friday, but there we are. So welcome, those of you in the UK. If I'm going Monday through Friday now, or what, I'll talk to the GM and see what's going on there. But with everything that's happening here, I think it's awesome that we can hopefully be your eyes and ears across the pond, and even your voice. So, what do we got? It's let's get rid of that. Yeah. So if we are gonna lose you, it's almost 3 a.m. in Sydney and Melbourne, almost midnight in Perth, almost 1700 in Berlin, almost 4 p.m. in London, and almost noon here on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the left coast. Go to Yergz Radio, YERGZ, radio.com. Trying to find the. Where's it at? Yeah, there we go. Yergz.com or mastiff.media for any place that you want to watch or listen to for the second hour. If you get cut from the first hour, I know K-Shop does that. We're only in the first hour when we're with them. And we were having issues with America One Radio, too. I don't know what has been going on there. A couple of weeks ago, they were updating their system. And a couple of weeks ago, they were updating their system. And we weren't on at all. And then I think they fixed it. Tears for Fears is playing on a talk station. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. They're falling apart. A progressive talk station is playing music from the 80s. That's not even legal. But I mean, I don't care. But Yeah, it's disappointing because that's a good place for us to help get a message out. Just make sure that it's still the same. That's too bad. I'll message that GM and see what's going on there. But growing, we said earlier in the show about Gary Vaynerchuk talking about, if people would actually work on their craft or trade instead of telling people where they're going, they'd almost be there. Well, next month we are starting on shortwave radio. So again, with getting all over the world on shortwave radio. And this month, still supposedly starting with Derek and Romaine. I wrote them over the weekend to see if there's an update on when they want to start that. If they get any delay, I'm not going to put their logo on the side of the Mastiff Media minivan if we're not going to be with them. So I need to hear back sooner rather than later. All right, it is that time. Every Monday, I get a co-host. Her name is Jane Stahl. I'm definitely happy to talk with her for the next next hour, and see what's going on back in our hometown. Hey there.
Hey. Hey, I see Dad walking.
I was going to say, you might recognize people in the background.
Well, I wanted to ask you if they were still there, if they're back in Boyertown. And obviously, since I see him, he's still there. I assume Mom is as well.
Yeah, she's sitting there somewhere too.
Very good.
They always seem
very good
during the show. And I'm like, do what you want to do. Do whatever. You don't know. You can walk back and forth, and you can, but they always are like, there's one of them. But they always want to hide during the night. Whatever.
No. There'd be no hiding.
I don't have the phones up today. When we started, there was this loop, and there was a delay, and then I was hearing myself like a couple seconds later. So I shut a bunch of things down. I didn't bring the phones back up. But what's happening in Boyertown? I figured that's something we can talk about today.
Yeah, my gosh. Well, this past weekend was so much fun, in as much as we celebrated women on Saturday at Building a Better Boyertown's, making her story, not history, but making her story.
Right.
And they had an event. We had an event at the Museum of Historic Vehicles, and sold out. Over 100 women were there, and it was so much fun. I'm just in the process of putting an article together for the Boyertown Area Expression about the event, because we need to celebrate it. It was just wonderful. I mean, when Krista first presented the idea, I wasn't sure how it would be received. Is she going to get blasted for being sexist? Okay, by just inviting women. Okay, but at the same time, she had a sold out crowd.
Events going on that.
Well, that's what they said. I was just worried on her behalf that she would, get some backsplat or back, she'd have some negativity
Backlash
involved with it, but that obviously didn't happen. But what I loved about it, and this is so girly, and I'm so sorry it is, but it is. I mean, it was so lovely because there were flowers everywhere, and the cocktails that were created by Stirrups Mobile Bar. And by the way, there is a Be Inspired podcast about the young woman who founded that particular mobile bar. Anyway, but let
me ask you about something with regards to that. My mom just recently did their class reunion, and I think they all kind of feel like they were a little taken by the bartender they hired. What was your, for example, they were charged a certain price.
Okay.
She gets there, and says, no, it's this price, which of course is more. And oh, by the way, you have to tip me. And that's up front before I even do anything.
Oh, my.
And finally, you have to buy the liquor that I'm going to pour for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
And,
yeah. They don't have a liquor license.
Yeah.
And so they can't, so that's how they're getting around it. If you provide the liquor, they'll make the drink.
So were you,
but
was there any bait and switch
my drink
with
was
like the
free,
fees that you had to pay or anything like that? Any
my
bait
drink
and
was
switch
free. So
with like,
I don't, I have no idea.
okay.
Yeah, I understand bait and switch,
Yeah.
but I don't have that much information
Yeah.
to share.
Okay.
I met her she was at the farmer's market a couple years ago.
Okay.
And so I met her there and ended up having a podcast with her when she had really, I think she was just beginning the business. So maybe it has evolved into something different than what we shared together during the podcast. But my drink was we all had a ticket for a free drink on Saturday night. And then I guess if you wanted more, you could buy them.
Right.
But the hosting organization, Building a Better Boyertown, provided the liquor. We didn't have to provide the liquor. Building a Better Boyertown did. So that was part of part of the whole thing. But what I liked about it was that there were orchids and assorted greenery and flowers on the tables, in the drinks themselves. I had a real simple glass of wine, but I asked for an orchid. I said, I want a flower.
Nice. Well, so are these, isn't it kind of dangerous to these flowers to bring them out in the winter temperatures? Because I remember at church.
Well, we were inside,
Well, no, but I mean, even transporting them there.
Yeah, they figure out a way to do that.
We would sponsor poinsettias, which is actually a tropical plant, even though it's a Christmas flower.
Right.
And the minister would always remind us to put a plastic bag over the flowers after we took them out of the church to protect them from the cold.
Right.
Was there anything like that with like when the florist who decorated, had to do anything special because it's in early March?
Yeah, possibly. It wasn't freezing temperature, but it was cold. Anyway, so it was fun. They had facilitators called the Participation Trophy Wives. A hoot. They facilitated the panel discussion among 5 or so women and had questions prepared for us to address. And it was really fascinating. They were really good questions. And because I like to talk, cool. I really had a wonderful time talking.
Never a bad thing.
I mean, they asked me to talk about myself. Do you know how much I love doing that?
So you were the headliner, is what you're saying.
No, there were 5 of us as part of a panel discussion, but they asked me questions about me, so I could talk about myself. Normally one feels bad about taking up the airtime.
Did you look at your watch and say, how much time do we have?
Exactly.
What time
well, that's how I started. I said, I got to warn you, I like to talk. And that from sitting in front of me in one of my student desks. So it was a really, really good time. And some of my favorite people were there. And so, we just had a good time together. And the food was great.
Now, the museum is kind of a warehouse, though, right?
It is. And
it was still warm. It was still comfortable atmosphere and comfortable temperature.
On Saturday night, for however they fixed the tables or the room or the space or whatever, it was quite comfortable. And I've been there when it felt more like a warehouse. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think the flowers were helpful.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And linen tablecloths linen tablecloths were helpful, and the candles on the table were helpful to create a warm atmosphere. And for whatever reason, I warned them. I said, look, if you're going to have me on a panel discussion, just understand that I don't hear all that well. So, make sure that the people, if they're going to have the audience answer questions or ask questions, make sure that the facilitators repeat the question. So I'm not saying something stupid in response to, do you know what I mean? But actually, it wasn't a problem at all. They had good microphones. And for whatever reason, the space felt homey. And like I said, I've been in that space years before where it didn't feel so homey. So it's not.
Yeah.
Someone commented that it was interesting because generally speaking, vehicles are all about guys, right? Guys love cars.
Sure. Right.
All right. So here we are celebrating women in the middle of a museum that's all about vehicles. So there was some irony there. Somebody thought, and I need to weave that into my article somehow. I'm not exactly sure how I would do that.
Was that kind of planned? We can do this too kind of thing? Or
I don't think that was part of it. It's just that particular venue in Boyertown is one of the more popular places to hold events these days.
Yeah.
They asked me and I said, well, I love the Orioles. I love the O's, but that's from many, many decades ago when we held lots of events and class reunions and things like that at the O's.
So was the format of it, like you said, you were on a panel, was there auditorium type seating? Like there was rows of seats or how
we were, and you'll see this when you read the article on Boyertown Expression.town.news. But I took lots of photos, but no, they had tables that sat 6 people and they were all around. And so up in the front, there was a lectern and 5 chairs. And the panels just sat on those 5 chairs and addressed the tables, the audience who were still seated at tables around their tables. Right. That's how we addressed the audience. So it was very casual and comfy and homey feeling. And I feel really good about it. And what I felt really, really good about is there were so many people there I did not know. And they were decades younger than I. I think I may have been the oldest person in the room, but it's entirely possible. And I was with my generally younger than I am anyway, but there were so many young people there, people I did not know. And I thought this is fantastic because it speaks to the possibility that, the coming up generations will support each other and be involved and have celebrations like this in the future. So that's what kind of said to me. So
Saturday, I took mom and dad to a car show down here. It was the same classic cars that my dad has. And we both noticed that it was pretty much an older crowd of car owners.
Okay.
That there were fewer, even my age, in their 50s, let alone younger. And it just made me wonder, what's going to happen in 10, 20 years to classic cars like that? Who's going to be, at these shows, if anybody, sharing the history of the automobile. So I hope that's something that doesn't fade out.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Phil had I don't know how accurate this is or how accurate he's going to be with his prediction, but he suspects that American Legion Baseball will not be in Pennsylvania in the next 5 to 10 years.
Whoa.
That it's just kids aren't playing baseball.
Huh.
And
I will keep an ear out and update you from my end of the world. Yeah. I know that Zuber here in town runs the Pine Forge Athletic League, and I believe they're doing real well. So,
nice. Good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they operate a little bit differently than the Legion team. They're a little more humanistic, I think. than the American Legion can be. Because if you're an American Legion ball player, there's no vacation for family. There's no being absent for whatever reason. And, today people are, it seems to me, people are more in tune with what we might call a work-life balance. And that kind of rigor in sports teams may not be quite as acceptable today as it had been in the past. I don't know. That's just a theory I'm working on. People get annoyed that we are not so, so puritanistic work ethic kind of thing. But, there's such a thing as burnout. So you need to be careful about that. Anyway, that's a editorial aside.
Mom found that, I think, in one of her magazines or whatever. Work to live, don't live to work.
Exactly. Now I noticed we don't have our buddy. Our buddy hasn't said hello yet today. Is Ken around?
Early in the first. I don't know if he's.
Okay. All right. Maybe.
There we go. There we go.
Good morning, Ken.
Yep. There it is. I'm late on it. That's my fault.
We need to celebrate our loyal fans.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superfan Ken.
Good. Anyway, so that was Saturday night, and that was so much fun. And my friends know that I'm generally in my pajamas by 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I don't go out after dinner. So it was a really special thing.
Nice.
It was a really special thing to be invited to participate in that in the way that they did. And then knowing that it was a really, really fun time for a lot of people. So that's good. That's what's happening in Boyertown. I know there are political things going on. Gretchen Lee, for example, had a petition signing party. That may not be the right word, but had a signing party last week, Thursday, I think, for a Democrat nominee for school board, Boyertown School Board. So it was a meet and greet kind of opportunity, as well as signing her petition to run for school board. Anyway, so there are things happening. And of course, we pay attention to the national news, and we're all very discouraged about what's going on, and et cetera, et cetera. And I can talk about that ad nauseum,
Gladly. Yeah. But for the school board, what region was that?
Well, Region 1, it was for my region. So,
okay.
But there are other parties going on for Regions 2 and Region 3. Donnie Savage has, been active in recruiting people for school board, but knowing how tough Region 1 is to elect any Democratic progressive-leaning candidate, she allowed me to go.
Do you remember Lefty Fryer?
Yes.
What do you remember about him?
He owned a beverage business.
Okay. But do you remember what his position in politics was?
Was it? No, I really do not. I was not involved at all.
Our area's representative to Harrisburg.
Right.
He wasn't a senator. He was a congressman.
Representative.
To Harrisburg.
Mm-hmm.
He was conservative, good old Boyertown guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, the message that Donna and company might want to help get out is that
traditionally
Democrats can be conservative too.
Mm-hmm.
And, the message that I said on Up the Middle when it was just a podcast, not before we got into radio also, you can be a Republican and you can be a conservative and not be I can say it here, not be an asshole.
Yeah.
And then, of course, was geared more towards Trump people, which I want to talk to you about because I got a scoop.
Oh, it's your turn. You've been waiting. Yeah. You've been so polite to ask me to start.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. We didn't get the message last night and do a little planning, and I thought, well, there's got to be something going on that we can just sit down and just talk and let it be our therapeutic session instead of just a political rant session the whole hour. Talk about what's happening at home, and I got my side of it too. Have you've talked about how you're kind of shutting out people from the MAGA world?
Yes.
Any more stories about that or updates on that?
Only that I posted something on Facebook in response to a meme from what's his name? Survivor of the Holocaust. Wrote.
Is a
Really-
Boyertown resident?
No,
That's okay.
no, a famous writer who wrote, a famous writer.
I think I saw that. I think I know what you're talking about.
Wiesel.
Yes.
Eli Wiesel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for waiting for me. Oh my God.
That's all right.
Oh my God. Anyway,
Nope. Well done.
there was a meme that he wrote about that came through my Facebook page, and I chose to respond to it by saying, hey, think by being neutral, you're not creating any damage or whatever. Do you think that, not talking politics or not being involved allows you to, go through life without any confrontation or whatever? I don't know. I made some comment about that. But then
Right.
I added, think again. Respect yourself. Stand up or let people know what you stand for and what you don't. And, when I wrote that and pushed send, I thought, there it is. Respect yourself enough to share who you are and what you believe in and what you don't. And so with that, I got more clarity just personally for myself about saying, come at me, tell me what you believe and I'll tell you what I believe. I'm ready because what we're going through now is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's why I decided I'm going to start mentioning names. I'm going to name names, and I will today. If you, as a Trump supporter, are okay with you putting yourself out there saying something stupid and ignorant and inaccurate, then you need to be okay with me calling you out here. Because I'll be humble here for a moment, just for a moment. I probably don't have as many listeners as there are people using Facebook. So if you want to put it on Facebook, where literally, I think, a quarter of the world's population can see it, I can talk about it here. We've had a guest on both sides now, and you've had him on Be Inspired podcast, who is a brilliant poet. But I think he needs to double dip in his calling as a political scientist. Because he's not afraid to call bullshit. He's very, very factual and impressive, the citations that he's able to provide. I think I'm talking about Phil Repko.
Absolutely. Yep.
Phil and I follow each other, and there's somebody that commented months back, the first time I noticed it, who was totally, no, you're wrong. And he called her out for it. And there was no reply. It's like they try to just say this and leave, like a hit and run type comment. Like their comment is going to be taken by everybody else as a fact and the truth. And everything else is the deep state and the liberal media and whatever else. When in all actuality, like I've also said on my podcast, you no longer have to be able to spell Google to be able to use it.
Use it. Mm-hmm.
And these people don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the lady. In fact, that day we all sat at the Orioles, you, me, Amy, and two
Yep,
other
yep.
ladies, one of those two was sitting at the table with us, is a lady that, and they were both Trump supporters. But one of
Oh,
those is more active on Facebook than the other.
okay.
And she has recently blocked me.
No kidding.
And yeah, so I did the same thing that Phil does. I wasn't a smartass. I was pointed. And this was kind of like where some of my interrogation tactics and skills come in, is that if I'm interviewing somebody, I'm not going to let them lie to me.
Mm.
Even if I'm going to use that against them, I got to say, wait a minute, something's wrong here. At least note it at that point, at that spot in the interview. Because once you let it go, you risk, especially in a transcript, you risk acknowledging it as fact as opposed to inaccurate. So I pointed out to, and I think before you get confused as to which one it is, like I said, I'm going to name names. It was Val Deisher.
Mm-hmm.
And she constantly is putting stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't remember any of the actual examples that she posted. So to be clear, this is nothing more than an example, very relevant to her posts. We're going to get rich off of these tariffs. No, we're not. Your guy is telling you that because he needs something to sell it. But anybody that knows anything about tariffs know that we, the American people, are the ones who pay it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the Boston Tea Party?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what that was about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pointed out that her so-called opinion, because she messages me on Messenger after I did this a couple times, she said that, you can have your opinion and I'll have mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but you don't have an opinion. You're spreading misinformation. And I mentioned Phil. I said, after Phil Repko and I both call you out for it, but not only call you out, we show you where you are wrong. You continue to push the inaccurate info.
Mm-hmm.
You're no longer just blindly passing something that you believe in. At this stage, you are now lying.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody with more expertise and knowledge than you shows you that you're wrong, but yet you refuse to acknowledge that, we're beyond stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember, I think you first posted this and showed it to me. The reason why we call Trump supporters stupid.
Because otherwise, that's being
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. Otherwise, we have to call them something else. Mm-hmm.
And I can't do it anymore.
Right.
I can't be nice anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll still be welcoming, like David Beckmeyer suggests, that when they want to come back over to reality.
Mm-hmm. I always liked, you are welcome to your opinion, but you are not welcome to your own facts. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, whether you're for or against a vaccine, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But don't tell me misinformation about a vaccine in either direction.
Well, speaking of that,
know COVID was rushed. It was still very successful. Every vaccine has side effects. That's life.
every medicine has side effects. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Well, I got caught, I guess, posting some misinformation. There was a Facebook post that said that Trump refused to hang Obama's portrait. Okay. And one of
I didn't
my
hear that yet. Okay.
quote unquote friends said that's not true. And I said, well, you know what? If in fact I'm wrong, I am happy to be wrong. I would be happy to know that he actually did hang his portrait. But let's
That's what I
be
said.
honest, given who he is and how he behaves, it's certainly believable that he would not
Right.
have done that. So bring me the facts, and I will happily apologize for my misinformation, but I'm not going to take it back because
And
it's
thank the
so
Trump supporter
believable.
that showed me that I was wrong. Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't want to be
exactly.
wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, what he sent me then was an article, and again, I did not fact check it, but he sent me an article suggesting that Obama was not interested in coming to a ceremony of the hanging of his portrait while Trump was in office. And apparently that ceremony happened after Trump left and Biden was in. So,
Yeah.
anyway, if that may or may not be true, like I said, I did not fact check what he sent me. But if I were wrong, okay. But it's entirely believable given the attitude and behavior of our current leader our current leader. I can't say of the free world anymore because he's not. So,
I said something last week. I referred to the Trump presidency being the office formerly known as the most powerful man in the world.
yeah, formerly known as right.
Yeah,
There have been
some pushback.
There have been some, and again, I did not fact check this either, but there have been some extraordinary words from different leaders of France and Canada and the British Islands in the past week about the need to not count on America anymore. So it's really sad. So but they have not minced words, and that is kind of similar to you and me, who are not being nice anymore to people like
Yeah.
Val.
Yeah.
And there's some other guy that goes back and forth with Phil all the time.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Blows my mind. Is it Graver, some Graver guy?
Yes, I'm Graver. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Yeah, I put him in this place too.
What an idiot! I mean, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not either. Really,
And his wife was no different either because she got in on it too, and I knocked her down too. So I got a date for you. It is September 7th, 2022. Both Barack and Michelle Obama had a ceremony in the East Wing, and that would have been during the
very good
Biden administration.
Very good. After what's his name was out of office, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And that's that's kind of a risk for Joe, don't you think, to pull the same stunt in that up there, the biggest question was he going to make it through a second term? And if he were to wait for hopefully, God willing, a Democratic president or even just a sensible Republican one to be elected in 2028 and to take office in 2029.
Yay.
That long.
Yeah.
Is he going to have to acquiesce and come in during Trump?
Yep. Anyway, things are absolutely crazy. Now, there have been some posts on Facebook suggesting that the upcoming recession is almost planned, and the tariffs are a way to drop the stock market so that people who have a lot of money can buy at lower costs. And then when the tariffs go away, as per the plan, then they end up being richer than ever because they bought low and can now sell high. So do you believe there is? Yeah.
Donald Trump has a level of arrogance like no other.
Mm-hmm.
And for as much as he may have purchased his degree and his way out of military service and his way out of trouble, he's at least learned something along the way. And I see the same type of movements with Bitcoin. There's what are often called pump and dump, where lesser quality coins are hyped up so that people who have bought them already can sell at a higher price and oftentimes a much higher.
Mm-hmm.
But the rapid sale causes that to tank. And those who bought on the way up because of all the hype and haven't sold yet are going to lose a considerable amount of value. Bitcoin has done that naturally. When somebody like Elon Musk makes the comment that he did, that Tesla will now be accepting Bitcoin to purchase a Tesla. Everybody wants to, buy a Tesla with their Bitcoin, and then they're in the process of doing so. And he says, no, I was wrong. We're not going to do that. And now instead of getting cancellations, these people have to pay in cash. Wow. Which is not a cheap. But yeah, that's been a natural occurrence with the Bitcoin cycles, and then also influenced by people like Elon Musk, hedge funds that are making it known that they're buying a lot of Bitcoin, as a savings account. So yeah, I think this Bitcoin alone was up at over $100,000, for a good stretch of time. It is now down, I think, in the 80s. I haven't checked it this week yet, but at about $80,000. I remember when it was 10. In fact, the first time that I heard about Bitcoin, it was about $800 a coin. And I literally told the guy, get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
It was at a Christmas party. Really Christmas spirit that was. And not a good move either. If I would have bought in at $800 with the amount of money that I've since invested in Bitcoin, I lost track of where I would be today. But a lot better off than, having to worry about FEMA helping me pay to rebuild my house after a flood. But yeah, I would not be surprised that that's part of it. Because like I said, I don't think he's all that bright, but he's at least experienced enough and street smart enough to know that when somebody like Elon Musk tells him to do this, that, or the other thing financially, he's going to do it because he's in that whole class. He's going to get rich as well. I just noticed Trump 1.0 to Trump 2.0. Not only are the characters way different, but they're way different. I don't even see any of his kids anymore.
Right.
Ivanka has been out.
Right.
Kushner has been out. But I'm not seeing DJ, TJ, and Eric anymore either. Which I think is saying something. And they were always in different events.
Hello.
or around the White House. Or around the White House.
Well, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that recently. I get Donald Jr.'s newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
So I figured he's still around and involved.
What's he spouting?
Well, I don't really read it, but I like to keep it, up the middle. You got to know what the other side's thinking. You got to know what the other side's doing. I mean, or else you're really handicapping yourself.
Commercial. Yep, I did a commercial for Rumble in the first hour. That we're on Rumble too, and you can use our link to start your own account and whatever else. But yeah, it's part of being in the intelligence community or journalism or broadcasting, content creating, whatever you want to call it.
So let me ask you this. I noticed on TV, that they're starting or talking about starting investigations into the major news networks. Okay. Do you have any concern about being investigated?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'll pull it up here. I think this is it. Yep. There you go.
All right, I'm going to tell a story on the show.
That's it. I won't do the whole thing because it's it's 7 minutes, but still. This is David Pakman. He's like us. He's got his own channel, and he was just threatened with $150,000 that forced him to back off of us.
That I have never told before because lawyers have advised me not to tell it.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to critique him for the collar. Whenever you have the button-down collar, you button it down, even if it's open at the neck.
Okay. You have to mention that. Good. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I'm going to ding him. I'm going to ding him for that.
And I figured out a way to talk about it today that I think is going to be okay legally. And the reason I'm going to tell this story today is because some of you reacted by saying, when I said last week, I'm hearing from lawyers about how they would go after progressive.
So he did another episode where he detailed how predominantly, namely the Trump administration, has already gone after ABC. Mm-hmm. And Elon Musk is suing The View. Mm-hmm. Something about free speech, yada, yada, yada. And he was at, I don't know if it was like some event or something, but some lawyers that weren't even his come to him and say, here's what they're going to do to shut you up. Even if they don't directly go after him or us, they'll go after sponsors. Mm-hmm. They'll go after things like tax returns, anything from like a roundabout way to get you to pull attention off of them and off of yourself. And that's what he's talking about here.
Progressive independent media, they being the Trump administration, they would do it indirectly. They wouldn't do it with criminality. They would do it with frivolous audits, or they would do it with frivolous lawsuits, or they would do it by pushing social media to demonetize or restrict. And a lot of people wrote in and said, no one's ever done anything like this to you. Nobody ever would. And you don't matter, essentially. I want to tell you a story of what happened. This is a few years ago. We did a piece of content and an elected official.
So he doesn't matter. See that number down there? 2.9.
Yeah.
He's got almost 3 million subscribers to this one channel.
Wow.
I think he matters a little bit.
Yeah.
And this story already has 1.6 million views. Wow. Half of his subscribers, 50%, that's huge, have watched this video.
Yeah.
So yeah, he matters.
Was mentioned in that piece of content. And I'm sorry that some of the details will be vague, but what our lawyer who represented us in this matter said is, you just don't want this to crop up again. We did a piece of content about an elected official. And shortly thereafter, we received a letter from a very expensive DC law firm saying, we believe that this piece of content is defamatory. We believe that you knew that what you were saying was false, and you specifically decided to publish it anyway to ruin the reputation of our client, an elected official. And we believe that this might be $150,000 worth of damage. Now, of course, they throw around these numbers to scare you. And I was scared. And so we got a lawyer who specializes in this stuff, and he looked it over and he spoke to the attorneys representing the elected official. And we looked at it up and down, and he explained to me, listen, they make a lot of claims here that are really not supported by the law. For example, one of the claims in the letter was, David, you didn't come to our client to get his side of the story. And our lawyer explained to me, that's true, you didn't, but you're not required to. It's not defamatory because you didn't try to get that guy's reaction. That doesn't determine whether it is or isn't defamatory. And we worked through this and accrued, $5,000 in legal fees. And ultimately, what our lawyer advised me was, listen, David, I think you're absolutely in the clear here. I believe that if we pursued this legally, this individual would not even want to subject himself to discovery. It would be too much risk. This is meant to scare you. If it went forward, I believe that you would win and you would be eligible to recover attorney's fees. However, I have to advise you, based on the representation that this individual has, how long these things are likely to go, you'll eventually get your legal fees back, probably. Not a guarantee, probably. But you might have to float $100,000 in legal fees to get there. And how does that sound? And I said, especially at the time, I said, we don't have the capacity to float $100,000 in legal fees. And he said, I am for speech. I am always for more speech. And I never recommend that people censor themselves or anything like it. But in this case, because of what this would mean financially to even have to fight this, even if at the tail end of the rainbow you get your legal fees back, which is never a guarantee, likely, but never a guarantee, I'm going to recommend that you take the content down. And they will likely say, we reserve our right to come after you, but we are telling you we are not going to pursue this matter at this time. And that's what we did. And it felt like shit. And I was in a situation where I didn't think I had any other option because of what that represented financially. Now, I do think today the show is big enough that if something like this happened and I just went scorched earth and went to my audience and said, listen, at the risk of getting myself into more problems, this is who's coming after me.
This must have been an
This
older
is
story.
what it's going to cost to fight it. Let's open a legal defense fund. And I think right now we could probably gather $100,000 to float such a fight that I think would be ideologically correct. The point here is the following. The idea that these right-wingers wouldn't come after us with frivolous this or frivolous that meant to bully and push us around because we're too small. This story I just told you was years ago, okay? And if we were big enough then, certainly there's at least a dozen shows like this one that could be plausible targets from this new weaponized Trump DOJ and other associated organizations, IRS, et cetera. And I don't want to have to go up against them. But lest anyone think it's implausible, we dealt with what I just told you years ago, and we were already talking about $100,000, $150,000 then. Just think about what it could be today. Terrifying stuff. Best thing you can do, just make sure you're subscribed. Subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you've got a few bucks, certainly get a membership. But the most important things are, the bigger we are, the bigger our network, the larger the number of people. If we have a problem, I can go to and say, guys, this is what we're up against. Let's figure out what to do. Well, I wrote a book after a long journey, and
I didn't know that was a while ago. I knew about the story, but I didn't know that. And like I said, there was the one that was more recent where he was at a party. I think it was a party or maybe some event, because he makes it sound like these lawyers weren't even his. They're just like fans. And they come up to him and they say, "Hey, here's what this administration is going to do." And essentially they're doing it. George Stephanopoulos calls him a rapist. And even though he wasn't convicted of rape, there was sexual assault. And the word rape and rapist was floated around quite a bit during the course of this.
Well, it depends, I guess, on how a particular state defines rape.
Well,
that's my understanding.
That and the actual activities that did actually take place, and that is that he was never tried as a criminal for rape. And in a civil context, you can't sue for rape. In New York, you can sue for sexual assault. And so, because that's what the court proceedings were actually about, he's not a rapist. I mean, let's take a practical look at it, and what would you call it? But from that legal definition, that's not what it is. So instead of fighting it, instead of at least saying, "Here's the point," or it was an opinion based on the facts of the case, ABC came to an agreement where they were donating X number of millions to his presidential library as a settlement out of court. And now I just saw, during the course of Mom and Dad visiting, my dad is a big fan of George Stephanopoulos. And we watched some of the shows. I forget who it was, but there was a perfect opportunity to hold the feet of whatever Trump administration official was on the show to a fire. And it was totally lost. Yeah, he pussed out. And then when the opposing side came on to oppose the outright lies that were just told, he pushed back on them. Instead of saying, "Yeah, you're right. That's a good point." Somebody's trying to get her head up on the camera here.
Oh, shady.
Yep.
Oh, shady. What a sweetheart. Yeah. I love dogs.
She thinks she's a lap dog. She's like a 45, 50-pound dog.
Yeah.
Almost 1 in the afternoon, and she's still here yawning.
Yeah. Well, they take naps,
She'll just sit here and let me scratch her chin. Like I work for her.
I know. That's good. That's good. That's good. So what else is new? What's Dad doing?
He got a lot done
down there.
He did a lot of great work. House is at least much more livable. I've got a kitchen sink back. I'm not doing dishes in my bathroom anymore.
Yeah. I know you had some trouble moving stuff.
Yeah, that's been out. That was a lot of his last visit. Was getting damaged furniture and such, and gutting the house and so on to the curb. But this one was fixing a lot of electrical work. We did some work outside too, which isn't part of like what we would get reimbursed for, but the floating dock that my jet skis are at is now actually tied better to the seawall. So if it gets any current or wind, it's much better braced. The doors we get a door. Both bathrooms have a door on them now, which is nice for when people are visiting. The electrical work, like I said, the garage sink is fixed. That's a plastic sink. It's a slop sink, and when the water came up, that just floated right off the wall. That's secured much better now. We found out where one of the leaks in the new washer is, so we're working on getting that fixed. So yeah, a lot of work done. Lots
Very
of
good.
time.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Well, this week I'm going on a hoagie tour. Did I tell you about the hoagie tour? Okay, so Mike Strzelecki, you may read some of his things in Expression. He writes a lot of articles about birds. He and I, a couple of years ago, took a pizza tour and visited 8 different pizza places around the area in order to choose our favorites. And then another day, we took a pastry tour and visited different places that made cakes and cookies and sticky buns and choufleur pies and so forth in order to pick our favorites. Okay.
Did you do that for Boston Tuesday?
This Thursday? No, there was a year and some ago.
Okay.
We did that just on a random time. But, visiting Fosnot, oh my God, that would be so good. Anyway, this Thursday and Friday, we're taking a hoagie tour. Okay. And so both of us have queried our Facebook network to say, all right, who makes the best hoagies in town? And he's developing a map of where we're going. Now, I must have told you this. One of the places we're visiting is in Reading, Skrepsi's. Okay. Because back in the day when I was in high school, imagine when I was in high school, my boyfriend and I at the time on Sunday afternoons would drive to Reading to have ham on rolls at Skrepsi's. They've since moved in the last year or two from their original location that I noted. And I told Mike Strzelecki that when he asked me about my favorite place to have hoagies, I said, well, my absolute favorite place was from high school when I got ham on rolls. So he's decided to put Skrepsi's in their new location on our hoagie tour. So that's part of our hoagie tour on Thursday and Friday. And I looked up their menu, Skrepsi's menu, and the tagline is the best ham on rolls since 1949.
I don't know if it was your post or I commented on somebody that was doing something about hoagies, and I said that I missed Tallarico's.
Yeah, probably Mike.
I said that I missed Tallarico's.
You missed out on what? Tallarico. Yes, I remember somebody saying that. Well, right now, Dan's Deli is definitely winning. Wawa is winning. Okay, that's a popular place, and we're going to Skrepsi's, and there'll be 8 different places I think total that we end up over Thursday and Friday.
Nice. Cool.
So I have a busy week.
So
ahead.
Are you each getting an entire hoagie every day? Or?
Oh God, no. No, we'll take a bite. Todd Kuzik. I don't know if you know him. The Kuzik family.
I know the name, yeah.
I think there are 3 sons.
Okay.
Anyway, Todd Kuzik is going along on the hoagie tour. So
very cool.
So that's what I'm.
Well,
it's a busy week.
If that's this Thursday and Friday, then we got to talk about the results on Monday.
Yeah. Yes, this will be the topic.
Are they available to come on Monday?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I will definitely ask. Ask them. Yeah. And then I will give them the link.
That's fine.
That you sent me.
Absolutely.
Does that work? Okay. So, So I will try to remember to ask them on Thursday and Friday, but if not, I will certainly ask them by email if they are available to chat with us. Oh my God, that would be so much fun. So that'd be good. And happily, yesterday at the studio, we had a speaker who came. Her name is Claire Novak. And her website, if you ever want to visit it, is Claire Novak. And she spells her name CLARE. Novak, Novak, .com. Anyway, she's visited 46 different countries, a lot of the stands, she says.
Okay.
Pakistan, a lot of the stands, but 46 different countries over a career of 20 some years in order to develop leadership or to consult with businesses in those countries in order to help women become more confident and develop leadership skills. That's what she did for a living for a long time. There you go. Anyway, fascinating woman. And she started by saying what she wanted to do was break the stereotypes that perhaps we had of women in that part of the world. And so she began her talk by saying, all right, list 5 adjectives that might describe your idea of what women are like in that part of the world. And then from there, she shared many of her experiences to either address our stereotypes that were correct or incorrect. And then we had an opportunity to ask her some questions about what are the stereotypes that those women might have about Western women. So it was an interesting conversation. And we did some writing as a result of our discussion. So Craig was there.
Yep.
You remember Craig. And yes, you remember Craig. And my friend Sandy Williams was there. Dick and Ingeborg Frekon were there. So it was good. We had artist Barbara Post was there.
Speaking of writing.
Anyway, we did a little bit of writing.
The Not Easy Being Green, Things I Love combo. What the length should that have or not have? Like
anything.
Okay.
Oh, anything. Right. Yeah, anything. Yeah. However it happens to you. I wrote a really short piece yesterday, but I really liked it. It was good.
Really, because this could be.
Craig prepares his ahead of time because he doesn't like to write on the spot. And so he said it to me, and he said, "Do you think this is too long?
Yeah, I was going to say I would see him being well researched."
Yeah, it is with footnotes too.
Okay.
Anyway. Yes.
Just in case somebody's famous lawyer comes to sue him.
Do you think this is too long?
Just in case someone's famous lawyer comes to sue him for slander and whatever else, he's got to cover.
By the way, it's 1 o'clock.
I saw that.
And we probably have to go. I'm Jane
And I'm Yergz.
And this is both sides now.
I will see you tomorrow.
Listen, I've got a meeting in town in 15 minutes, so I got to run.
Being made right now too, so I got to run.
And hi to Mom and Dad.
Will do.
Okay.
All right. I will see you in a week. And enjoy the hoagies.
All right. I shall.
All right. See you again. All right, everybody. So let me get rid of some of this stuff here. I got a dog on my lap. There we go. You can get Jane and follow the hoagies by going to Studio BBB. That's the art gallery that she manages in town. Go to studiobbb.org or visit BoyertownAreaExpression.town.news. That's our digital hometown newspaper. Later this month, I start on DNR Studios with Derek and Romaine. Go to dnrstudios.com to learn more. Don't forget to call your senator and or congressman and tell them about your feelings about Doge and what should or should not be happening. Call 202-224-3121 for the Capitol Switchboard. If you're in Western Pasco, we just had a farmer's market yesterday that was amazing. Go to MySRCA, that stands for Sea Ranch Civic Association. Go to mysrca.com and sign up today. Philip Blackett can be reached on his socials at Philip Blackett, Philip with 1 L, Blackett with 2 T's. Matt is the host of the Daily Crypto News. It's every day, and we're bringing that back to Yergz Radio as well. For more information on that, go to dailycryptonews.net. You can reach him, Matt, at dailycryptonews.net and info@demorforcongress.com. The Homeless Conservative is available at thehomelessconservative.com. That's Blake Fisher. He and Matt join me every Friday. You can reach Blake at thehomelessconservative.com, and you can get us all news, NEWZ, at Yergz, YERGZ.com. Up right now, we're late, is Glenn and Sportcats Daily Gazette. You can tune in on YouTube at Para or Normal Guys. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, everybody. See you then. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, pass this along. We'll see you tomorrow.